The red dust of Sedona looked like dried blood in my rearview mirror. I didn't speed as I navigated the winding road back toward Interstate 17. Speeding implies panic, and I wasn't panicked. I was operating with the calm, cold precision that would have made my old shop foreman proud. The passenger seat of the rental Tahoe was empty. The silence in the SUV was hard, but it wasn't the suffocating silence of a dying marriage anymore. It was the silence of a problem that had finally been solved. I reached over and touched the leather seat where my wife had been sitting 20 minutes ago. It was still warm from the heat of her body. She was currently standing in the parking lot of the main visitor center at Red Rock State Park, about 45 minutes outside of Sedona. I hadn't left her to die. I'm not a monster. There were other tourists there. There was a gift shop. There was shade. There were park rangers who checked every hour, and unlike the Nevada desert stories you hear, there was cell service. But there was no ride, and she didn't have her purse. To understand why I left the woman I had been married to for 12 years, stranded in the Arizona desert, you must understand the sheer depth of the betrayal. We were in Sedona to celebrate our 12th anniversary. That was the official story. 12 years of building what I thought was a solid life together. A modest 3-bedroom house in a Phoenix subdivision, $44,000 in joint savings, and my HVAC business that I'd built from nothing but a high school diploma and a willingness to crawl through attics when it's 115 degrees outside. I thought we were the lucky ones. I thought we were the couple that survived the rough patches and settled into something real. Phoenix summers are brutal, the kind of heat that makes your tools too hot to touch and turns your work truck into a rolling oven. But I didn't mind the punishment because I thought I was building our future. I worked 55 to 60 hours a week, sometimes 70 during peak season, when every air conditioner in the valley needed emergency service. The money was good. $85,000 a year isn't bad for a guy who started with nothing but determination and a willingness to work harder than the competition. My hands are permanently stained with refrigerant, and my back aches from 15 years of crawling through tight spaces. But I built something real, a reputation, a business, a life. Michelle had her fitness blog and her Instagram account. She called herself a wellness influencer, though the income from it wouldn't cover our monthly electric bill during summer months. She taught yoga occasionally at the community center, more for the social aspect than the money, maybe $300 a month when she actually showed up. I didn't mind supporting her dreams. I thought we were a team. The mornings I'd leave for work, she'd still be in bed with her phone, planning her content for the day. By the time I got home, covered in dust and sweat from crawling through some rich person's attic, she'd be fresh from the gym or from one of her wellness workshops. She'd have dinner waiting sometimes, always something she'd photographed first for her health blog. I thought it was cute. I thought she was building something too. I was an idiot. The discovery didn't happen through snooping or suspicion. I'm not that guy. I trusted her completely, which makes what happened next feel even more like a knife sliding between my ribs. I respected her privacy the same way I expected her to respect mine. Trust was everything to me. Without trust, what's the point of marriage? It was a Sunday morning in early March. Michelle was at her yoga retreat weekend with the girls, something she did once a month, usually cost me $200 to $300 between gas, hotel, and meals. I was in my home office trying to figure out why my iPad kept crashing. The device kept shutting down randomly, making it impossible to show customers my portfolio of completed installations. Technology and I have a complicated relationship. I can diagnose a failing compressor in minutes and rebuild an entire HVAC system from scratch. But ask me to troubleshoot a computer problem and I'm lost. So, when the iPad started acting up, I did what any reasonable person would do. I Googled the solution. The fix required connecting the device to iTunes on my laptop to reset the operating system. Simple enough, but that's when I discovered that Michelle had synced her iPhone to this iPad months ago when her MacBook died and she needed to back up her photos. I'd completely forgotten about it, but there it was. Every text message, every photo, every app notification from the last 8 months, automatically backed up and ready to restore. I almost ignored it. Almost. But something made me pause. Maybe it was the same instinct that had saved my ass on job. Sites for 15 years. When something feels wrong in an HVAC system, you investigate before it becomes a catastrophic failure. Ignore a small refrigerant leak, and you'll end up replacing the entire system. Pay attention to the warning signs and you can fix the problem before it destroys everything. What I found in those backup files made my blood turn to ice water in the Arizona heat. Months of text conversations with someone named Shane Torres. Explicit photos I recognized as taken in our bedroom. The same bedroom where I collapsed exhausted every night after working 10-hour days to fund her lifestyle. Detailed discussions about their weekend together while I was handling emergency service calls, believing she was finding her spiritual center with her yoga friends. And worst of all, their planning sessions for my financial destruction. "He's so clueless," one message read. "I told him it was a yoga retreat and he just smiled and handed me $300 for gas and hotel. He sees me as this spiritual fitness guru, not a woman with actual needs." I stared at the screen, feeling like someone had disconnected my main breaker. 12 years of marriage, and she saw me as clueless. 12 years of working myself into the ground, and I was just the guy who handed over the credit card without asking questions. But that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was reading their detailed plans for my future, a future they'd mapped out like a business proposal. "The divorce lawyer says I can get alimony for at least 5 years if I play this right," Michelle had written. "Brady makes good money, and we've been married 12 years. I just need to document that I've become accustomed to a certain lifestyle, and that my career suffered because I supported his blue-collar work." Another message thread made my stomach turn. "I love how he thinks my Instagram stuff is a real business. It'll be perfect for court. I can claim I'm an entrepreneur whose career suffered because I supported his demanding schedule. The judge will eat it up." I sat there in my home office chair, the same chair where I'd balanced our checkbooks and planned our future, feeling like I'd been hit in the chest with a 20-pound sledgehammer. 12 years. 12 years of coming home exhausted and dirty, handing over my paycheck, supporting her dreams, and I was just a mark, a wallet with legs and a steady income. The messages got progressively worse as I scrolled deeper into their conversations. Shane Torres turned out to be a personal trainer at Power Zone Fitness, the gym where Michelle had been working out 3 mornings a week for the past 8 months. He was 28, drove a leased BMW he couldn't afford, and apparently had a rotation of married women funding his lifestyle while their husbands worked real jobs. "Brady's the perfect setup," Michelle had written to him. "Stable income, owns his business, totally predictable. Schedule. He leaves at 6:30 every morning and doesn't get home until after 6 most nights. I can have my cake and eat it too for another year or two, then cash out with a divorce settlement, and we can start our real life together." They had even discussed the timeline with the cold precision of a business merger. She wanted to wait until after our anniversary trip to file papers. "One last romantic getaway on his dime," she'd written. "Then I'm free to be with someone who actually sees me as a woman, not just a housewife appliance." The shower upstairs turned off. Michelle was home early from her spiritual retreat. I could hear her humming something cheerful as she toweled off. I had maybe 3 minutes before she came downstairs, fresh and glowing from her weekend with Shane Torres, while I'd spent Saturday replacing a broken condensing unit in a 100-degree attic. My hands shook as I quickly forwarded the most damaging message threads to my personal email account, then cleared the backup history and reset the iPad like nothing had happened. 15 years of troubleshooting HVAC systems had taught me to work fast under pressure, but this was different. This was my entire life collapsing in real time. She walked into the office wearing her yoga clothes, expensive Lululemon gear that I'd bought her for Christmas, thinking I was supporting her wellness journey. She looked radiant and relaxed, practically glowing with post-workout endorphins. From her workout with Shane, I now understood. The workout that had nothing to do with yoga and everything to do with destroying my marriage while I funded her betrayal. "Hey, babe," she said, giving me a kiss on the cheek like she'd done 1,000 times before. The kiss felt like a brand. "How was your weekend? Did you get the Peterson job estimate finished?" I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman I'd been married to for 12 years. The woman I'd worked myself into the ground to provide for. The woman who'd just spent the weekend with another man while texting him about how pathetic I was. The woman who saw me as nothing more than a paycheck with a heartbeat. "Yeah," I said. My voice sounded normal, which surprised me given that my world had just exploded. "All done, sent it over this morning." "That's my hard-working husband," she said, ruffling my hair like I was a golden retriever. "Always taking care of business. How was the retreat?" "Oh, it was absolutely amazing. So rejuvenating. Jennifer really pushed us with some advanced poses I'd never tried before. I feel like a completely new person. Jennifer? That was creative. Shane Torres definitely wasn't named Jennifer, and I doubted they'd spent much time working on yoga poses. The lies came so easily to her, so naturally, that I wondered how long this had been going on. How many other retreats had been cover stories? How many other girlfriends' nights out had actually been nights with him? That's great, I managed. You deserve it. All that hard work you do with the blog and everything. She smiled that perfect practiced smile, the same one she used in her Instagram selfies. You're so supportive. I'm the luckiest woman in the world to have a husband who believes in my dreams. The irony was suffocating. She was lucky, all right. Lucky to have married someone stupid enough to fund her infidelity without asking questions. Lucky to have a husband who worked 70-hour weeks during peak season, so she could spend 3 mornings a week screwing her personal trainer. Lucky that I'd been too trusting to notice that her yoga classes always seemed to coincide with the gym's least busy hours. I'm going to grab a shower, she said. Then maybe we can go out to dinner, that new place in Old Town you mentioned? Dinner. She wanted to go to dinner after spending the weekend plotting my financial destruction with her boyfriend. After planning to claim that name, my demanding blue-collar schedule had damaged her influencer career. After discussing how to maximize her alimony by painting herself as the victim of my workaholic tendencies. Sure, I said, that sounds perfect. Perfect. The word tasted like motor oil in my mouth. That was 3 days ago. I spent Sunday night and all of Monday researching everything I could about divorce law in Arizona, asset protection, and infidelity documentation. Arizona is a community property state, which meant Michelle was legally entitled to half of everything we'd built together during our 12-year marriage. But there were important exceptions that could work in my favor. Dissipation of marital assets, spending community funds on an affair, could significantly affect the settlement. And her documented plan to commit fraud regarding her business losses could void any alimony claims entirely. The screenshots I'd forwarded to myself were pure gold in legal terms. She'd essentially written her own confession. I also spent time researching Shane Torres, personal trainer at Power Zone Fitness, where a monthly membership cost more than most people spend on groceries. Single, despite what he'd told Michelle about their future together. The guy had a LinkedIn profile full of motivational quotes and shirtless gym photos. A quick search through public records showed 2 previous relationships with married clients that had ended in messy divorces, where the women walked away with almost nothing. Shane Torres was a professional homewrecker with a documented pattern. He targeted married women with financial security, promised them a fantasy future, then disappeared when the money dried up. Michelle wasn't his first mark, and she wouldn't be his last. Tuesday morning, while Michelle was at the gym with her boyfriend, I visited Preston Walsh, the divorce attorney my friend Danny had recommended, after his ex-wife tried to take him for everything. Danny's divorce had been brutal. She demanded alimony, half his plumbing business, and primary custody of their kids. Preston had somehow turned it around and got Danny primary custody, no alimony, and protection for his business assets. "Do you have documentation?" Preston asked after I explained my situation. His office was in a downtown high-rise, all glass and leather, the kind of place that charged by the hour just to sit in the waiting room. I pulled out my phone and showed him the forwarded message threads. Preston read them slowly, his expression never changing. He was probably in his 50s, gray-haired, with the kind of cold intelligence that made smart people nervous. Finally, he looked up. "Mr. Coleman, your wife just handed you the best divorce defense I've seen in 5 years. With this evidence, we can not only protect your business and assets, but we can probably get her to walk away with minimal claims just to avoid the embarrassment of this becoming public record. What do I need to do? Nothing yet. Take your anniversary trip. Act completely normal. Let me prepare the paperwork. The moment you're ready to pull the trigger, we file everything simultaneously. She won't know what hit her until it's too late to mount an effective defense." Preston explained the strategy in detail. Arizona courts took a dim view of marital asset dissipation, especially when it was documented as thoroughly as Michelle had done. Her text messages about using community funds for hotel rooms with Shane could be classified as theft. Her plan to fabricate business losses to increase alimony could be prosecuted as attempted fraud. "The beauty of this situation," Preston said, is that she's documented everything herself. We don't need private investigators or forensic accountants. She's provided us with a complete confession, timeline, and intent. It's like she wrote our case for us. The legal fees would be substantial, but Preston was confident we could recover them from Michelle's share of the assets. When we threaten to make these messages public record during a trial, she'll settle immediately. No woman wants her family and friends reading about her calling her husband clueless while she plans to rob him blind. So I drove home and played the loving husband for the next 2 days. I listened to Michelle talk about chakras and energy healing. I smiled when she posted Instagram photos of her healthy lifestyle while planning to destroy mine. I held her hand during our evening walks through the neighborhood where we'd planned to grow old together. Wednesday night, she suggested the Sedona trip for our anniversary weekend. I found this amazing resort, she said, showing me pictures on her laptop. Red rocks, spa treatments, spiritual energy vortexes. It'll be so romantic. Romantic. I almost laughed. She wanted one last romantic weekend before filing for divorce and taking half of everything I'd worked for. One final performance before revealing what she really thought of our marriage. That sounds incredible, I said. You deserve something special. She deserved something, all right. Thursday morning, I made the reservations. Friday, we drove up to Sedona in the rental Tahoe. The red rocks were beautiful, I'll give them that. Ancient and dramatic against the desert sky, like something from another planet. Michelle took dozens of photos for her Instagram story, documenting our perfect anniversary getaway for her followers to envy. She had no idea she was documenting her own downfall. For the entire drive up, I played the role perfectly. I listened to her talk about the healing properties of vortex energy and the spiritual significance of the landscape. I held her hand when we stopped for photos at scenic overlooks. I smiled when she FaceTimed with her yoga friends, telling them how lucky she was to have such a romantic husband. Inside, I was calculating. Inside, I was planning. Every move with the same methodical precision I used to diagnose complex HVAC problems. You don't rush into a complicated repair job without understanding every component of the system. You analyze the problem, gather the right tools, and execute the solution with surgical precision. By Saturday morning, I was ready to execute mine. That Saturday morning, I suggested we hike to Devil's Bridge. It's a moderate trail, nothing too challenging for someone who claimed to be a serious yoga practitioner. More importantly, the trailhead parking area had spotty cell service and absolutely no public transportation back to civilization. Let's take a walk, I said after parking the Tahoe in the most remote section of the lot. The heat was already building, even at 9 in the morning. By afternoon, it would be over 100 degrees, dangerous for someone stranded without water or transportation. She grabbed her phone and a small water bottle. She left her purse in the car, just like I knew she would. I don't want to carry it, she said, making the excuse I'd been counting on. It's too heavy for hiking. Perfect. No purse meant no backup phone charger, no cash, no credit cards. Just her iPhone with maybe 60% battery life. We hiked for about a mile to a scenic overlook. The red rocks towered around us, alien and beautiful in the morning light. The silence was profound. No traffic noise, no air conditioners running, just the vast emptiness of the Arizona desert. It was the kind of place where you could disappear completely if you didn't know what you were doing. This is incredible, Michelle said, already posing for selfies. The energy here is amazing. I can feel the vortex. I watched her perform for her phone camera, documenting our romantic anniversary hike for Instagram. She had no idea she was creating evidence of the last moments of our marriage. Stand over there, I said, pointing to a spot near the cliff edge with the best view of the rock formations. I'll get a great shot for your blog. She posed perfectly, all smiles and spiritual serenity. The irony was perfect. Michelle, the wellness influencer, finding her center in nature while planning to destroy the life of the man who'd made it all possible. I took several photos. Beautiful, I said, and meant it. The landscape was stunning, even if the woman in the foreground was a fraud. I forgot the extra water in the car, I lied smoothly. I'll run back and grab it. You stay here in the shade. I don't want you to overheat. Arizona heat can kill you faster than people realize. Even experienced hikers get into trouble when they underestimate the desert. Dehydration, heat stroke, disorientation. It happens to tourists every summer, The Park Service rescues dozens of unprepared visitors every season. You're so thoughtful, she said, settling onto a shaded rock outcrop. Take your time. I want to meditate with the vortex. Energy. I'll be right back. I turned and walked away, not running, not rushing. Just a concerned husband fetching extra water for his beloved wife. My boots crunched steadily on the red gravel path as I made my way back to the parking area. When I reached the Tahoe, I sat in the driver's seat for a moment, engine off, gathering my thoughts. This was the point of no return. Once I drove away, there would be no going back. Our marriage would be over, not just emotionally, but practically. She'd be stranded in the desert with her lies and her phone and her spiritual energy, while I drove toward a future where I'd never again be anyone's wallet. I started the engine. The V8 rumbled to life, a sound of pure American power. I put the SUV in reverse and backed out of the parking space slowly, like any normal person finishing their hike. Then I drove out of the lot and onto the main park road. 5 miles later, I reached the Red Rock State Park Visitor Center. It was exactly, what I'd remembered from the research. A proper building with restrooms, gift shop, staff, and most importantly, reliable cell phone service. This wasn't some remote desert outpost. This was a safe, well-maintained facility where stranded tourists could get help. I parked outside the main building and walked around to the back of the Tahoe. Opening the cargo area, I pulled out Michelle's designer purse, the one that had cost more than most people spend on rent. I unzipped the main compartment and found her iPhone. Using her thumbprint pattern, something I'd watched her do 1,000 times over 12 years of marriage, I unlocked the device and opened her messages with Shane Torres. I scrolled to their most recent conversation from that very morning. "Can't wait to get back from this boring anniversary trip," Michelle had written while I was loading our luggage. "2 more days of pretending to be the grateful wife, then we can start planning our real future. Together. The lawyer says I should be able to get at least $4,000 a month in alimony." I typed a response using her phone. Change of plans. Brady found everything. The backup files, the messages, all of it. "I'm stranded at Red Rock State Park Visitor Center. Don't contact me anymore. This is over. Delete my number." I sent the message, then immediately deleted it from her sent folder. Shane would receive it and assume she was panicking and ending their relationship to save herself. It would plant doubt in his mind about her reliability and commitment. Professional homewreckers don't like complicated situations or unstable partners. I put the phone back in her purse and carried the whole thing to the visitor center. A nice spot on a bench outside the restrooms where someone would definitely find it and turn it into the Rangers. Michelle would get it back eventually, along with a story about some good Samaritan finding it abandoned. Then I walked back to the Tahoe, got in, and drove toward the exit. As I merged onto I-17 south toward Phoenix, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Genuine peace. Not the fake calm of a man pretending his marriage was fine, but the real tranquility of a problem finally solved. The adrenaline was starting to fade, replaced by cold, hard clarity. I had a 3-hour head start and a detailed plan. By the time Michelle convinced someone to give her a ride back to civilization, I'd already be securing our assets and documenting everything for the divorce proceedings. The first thing I did when I reached a gas station with reliable Wi-Fi was secure our finances. I transferred exactly half of our joint savings, $22,000, into a new business account I'd opened online during my research phase. I didn't take everything. Taking it all would look vindictive to a judge, and Preston had been clear about maintaining the legal high ground. I also removed Michelle as an authorized user from our credit cards. She could spend the remaining $22,000 in cash, but she couldn't rack up debt in my name anymore. Every financial bridge between us was systematically burned. By the time I reached Phoenix, my phone showed 12 missed calls from unknown numbers. Probably park rangers, maybe another tourist who'd found her. I didn't answer. There was nothing I could say that wouldn't sound rehearsed, and I wasn't ready to perform concern for someone who'd spent months planning my financial destruction. At home, I packed my work clothes and moved into the guest room. Arizona law was clear. I couldn't lock her out of the marital home, but I could secure my personal space and important documents. I installed a heavy-duty keypad lock on the guest room door and moved my business records, passport, and financial documents inside. Then I called Preston Walsh. "It's done," I told him. "She's safe but stranded at Red Rock State Park Visitor Center. I have about 3 hours before she gets home." Perfect. I'll file the papers first thing Monday morning. By the time she finds a competent attorney, we'll already control the narrative and the timeline. She arrived home at 8:30 Sunday night, having spent over $100 on an Uber from Sedona, money that came out of her half of our savings. I was sitting in the living room watching a Cardinals game when she walked in, looking like she'd been through a dust storm. She dropped her purse and stared at me with red-rimmed eyes. "You left me," she whispered. I didn't look up from the television. "I left you at a visitor center with staff, tourists, and cell service. You were inconvenienced, not endangered. Kind of like how I've been inconvenienced by your 12-year performance." She started crying. The same manipulative tears she'd probably used on the park rangers and the Uber driver. "Please," she sobbed. "It was a mistake. Shane doesn't mean anything. I was confused. I love you." I finally looked at her directly. "I read every message, Michelle. I know about the divorce strategy. I know you think I'm clueless. I know you see me as a paycheck. You're right. I was clueless for trusting you, but I'm not clueless anymore." I stood up and turned off the TV. "The credit cards are canceled. I took my legal half of the savings. You have access to your half. I suggest you use it wisely because I filed for divorce this morning." The screaming lasted about 10 minutes. She called me every name in the book and threw her water bottle across the room. I walked into the guest room, punched the code into the lock, and closed the door on our marriage. The next 2 months were psychological warfare. We lived in the same house like hostile roommates, communicating only through lawyers. I practiced what Preston called the gray rock method, becoming as uninteresting and unresponsive as possible. When she tried to fight, I walked away. When she tried to seduce me, which happened twice, I laughed at the absurdity. It drove her insane. Narcissists need emotional fuel, and I gave her nothing but indifference. She spent increasing amounts of time out of the house, supposedly with girlfriends, but obviously with Shane Torres. The private investigator Preston hired documented everything: Shane's other relationships, his financial situation, his pattern of targeting married women for temporary financial support. When Preston sent her attorney the discovery request, including printed copies of all her messages, Michelle's entire strategy collapsed. The threat of her own words becoming public record was too much. Her yoga friends, her Instagram followers, her family, they'd all see exactly who she really was behind the spiritual wellness facade. The mediation lasted 4 hours. Michelle looked defeated, her attorney uncomfortable. Preston looked like a predator who'd cornered his prey. "My client agrees to waive all spousal support claims," her lawyer said quietly, "in exchange for a 50-50 division of assets and sealed records. We sold the house and split the equity, $62,000 each. She took her Toyota and moved into a studio apartment near Power Zone Fitness. I rented a small place in Tempe while house hunting for something that would be mine alone. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, Danny told me Shane had dumped Michelle for a 24-year-old spin instructor with a trust fund. The wellness blog died when she couldn't afford professional photography anymore. Last I heard, she was teaching beginner yoga classes for $15 an hour and working part-time at a juice bar. As for me, I'm currently sitting in the international terminal at Sky Harbor Airport, waiting for my flight to Tokyo. I've always wanted to visit Japan. The craftsmanship, the attention to detail, the respect for precision work. Michelle used to roll her eyes. Whenever I mentioned it, too far, too expensive, too different. I'm going for 3 weeks. Business class ticket because I can afford it now. I have a list of temples to visit, ramen shops to try, and hot springs to soak in after 15 years of Arizona heat. I have a camera to document everything I want to remember about this trip. Sometimes I still look at the screenshots of her messages on my phone. Not from pain anymore, but as a reminder that the person sleeping next to you can be a complete stranger. That trust without verification is just naive hope. That sometimes the best way to win is to stop playing by someone else's rules and start playing by your own. The boarding announcement echoes through the terminal, Flight 421 to Tokyo Narita. I pick up my carry-on bag, light because I travel light now, and walk toward tomorrow. For 12 years, I slept with one eye open, working myself to death for someone who saw me as nothing more than a retirement plan. Now, I sleep like a baby, and when I dream of possibilities instead of problems. The deepest betrayals teach us the most valuable lessons. Never again mistake someone's dependence on you for love, And never underestimate your own capacity to survive their worst intentions.